Welcome back to a brand new Biosteel Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, Adrian, with my co-host,
Sylvie.
and we're breaking down a brand new topic: health, wellness, nutrition, mindset. You know the deal. You've been here before, I hope. And if it's your first time, welcome. So every week we release a new episode where we talk about an aspect of health and wellness that we think is important. Sometimes it's nutrition, sometimes it's training, sometimes it's mindset. Today, it's a combination of all three. Today we are talking about how to train like a pro, specifically an NHL pro. So every year, for the last several years, 6 of them I believe, in the summer you and I go all the way up to Aurora to work on this high performance program that was started by Gary Roberts. And so we spend 3 months with several pro hockey players who are trying to become the best at their craft. And there's a lot of lessons learned, and we wanted to bring some of those lessons to the listeners and to the fans of Biosteel Breakdowns. Is that fair?
Yeah, we get asked this a lot with our other business, like, oh, you work with professional athletes, like it must be so different and intense. And although it is, in a way, there's a lot of similarities between how we work with our pro athletes and how we work with everyone who comes to see us.
I would say that there's very, very little differentiation in the choice of exercises or the nutrition information, maybe a little bit on how it's implemented.
Yes.
Right? In the volume and the intensity, but the overall ideas are the same.
Core is the same.
The core is the same. So we wanted to give you guys 3 aspects from our high-performance world, our high-performance hockey world that you could incorporate into your own training to make you a better everyday athlete. Do you want me to start? You want to start?
Go ahead.
I'll start. All right. The first category we want to touch on is exercise, then we'll touch on nutrition, and then a little bit on recovery. So on the exercise front, if there's one thing that I would suggest you incorporate into your everyday training that we do a lot with our NHL players is single leg training. And when we think about the weight room, typically we think about squatting and deadlifting. And those are awesome exercises. Those are staples. We use them all the time. But an area that does not get enough attention in the everyday gym community is single leg work. So if you've had a knee issue, if you've had a back issue, and chances are that you have the 2 highest rates of injury in North America, single leg training is the way to go. It helps build good stability through the hip. It helps reduce the stress or the load that's placed on your back, and it helps increase your stability and balance in those positions. So whether you play everyday sports, and nearly all sports are single leg activities. Sprinting is a single leg activity, a dynamic single leg activity from one to the next to the next. Whether you skate, whether you throw a ball or you kick a ball, in all those instances you're balancing on one leg and moving through the other. So it's really, really important that we get better at that movement. But if you're walking outside and you slip on ice, having good single leg stability and having good balance could save you from serious injury, from breaking a wrist or I don't know, hitting your head on the ice and having a concussion. It could go a long way in preventing you from losing out on things that you really want to do. So I would suggest single leg activity, first thing that you incorporate. So that could be a lunge variation, whether it's a reverse lunge or a forward lunge. That could be a Bulgarian split squat or a rear foot elevated split squat. Or it could be something as simple as a heel tap or a single leg squat to a box. And if you want more information on these things, we dropped a couple of videos on the GRHPT instructional series, looking at a couple different single leg exercises. But then if not, go check out a gentleman by the name of Ben Bruno, because he has a ton of stuff on single leg training, and I think he's one of the best in the biz, and that's why we're happy to give him a shout out here on the Champ Lifestyle /Biosteel Breakdown collaboration. So that's the first aspect from the exercise component that you should incorporate in. Single leg training, get off of 2 feet, get on one. You'll get freakishly strong, and it'll surprise you.
Love it.
Nutrition.
There are a lot of things we could have focused on with this, but I thought about the single most important thing that I start with all of the athletes and all of my clients, and that is what they are drinking throughout the day. So hydration is, again, we put in this category of, it's, people who sweat a lot have to be hydrating all the time, which is true. But I see just in, people who, need to be performing in their job, whether that's a desk job or whatever it is, they're still not drinking enough water. So dehydration can cause a lot of performance issues, whether it's, like I said, relating to the sport or just in the everyday life. So one of the big things is headaches, fatigue, for athletes, a lot of muscle cramping. It can even lead to things like constipation, digestive issues, and the list goes on. So being dehydrated will affect, again, our musculoskeletal system. It will affect our digestion. It will affect our brains. So the number one thing that I look at is, what are the athletes drinking throughout the day? So there used to be this, theory that we need sugar all the time in order to have enough energy. That train of thought has definitely gone out the window, and we're focusing more on electrolyte balance, having clean sources of water. So athletes, especially our hockey players, the number one thing that I focus on, and with all clients, is to drink enough water and to not be drinking calories in other ways. So I'm talking, any sugary juices and pop, and, I'll get into sports drinks in a second, but yes, sports drinks that are filled with sugar and artificial ingredients. And this is just adding a load on, a lot of systems that just is not necessary. And so a lot of them can be actually very dehydrating. So you're actually drinking things that are causing more dehydration in your body. So when it comes to hydration, focusing on a mineral water, so, spring water is typically the best in that situation because it still has its minerals. Reverse osmosis is clean, that version of water, but the issue is that we're not getting a lot of the minerals that, especially if you're sweating a lot, that athletes need. So that takes me to obviously our favorite electrolyte drink, which is not just an electrolyte drink, it's a full high performance mix. And that's the Biosteel High Performance Mix. So it does not have sugar. It replaces electrolytes, has B vitamins, which I've chatted about before on our podcast, and how B vitamins, are precursors to energy. So creating ATP in our bodies, which we need to not only perform on a physical level, but like I said, cognitively, and just all of the functions in our body. So high performance sports drink. And then it also has amino acids. So it helps in that full recovery process. So the number one thing is to focus on hydration, drinking enough water throughout the day. And the best way to tell if you're drinking enough water is through your urine. So a lot of the time people ask me, well, do I just stick to the 8 glasses? And I'm like, not necessarily. It depends on, how much you're sweating, activity level, what else you're drinking throughout the day. So if you're having a lot of caffeine and dehydrating drinks, sugary drinks, that type of thing, then you need to be drinking more. So I recommend to pay attention to your urine color and make sure that it is sort of like a pale yellow. So we can also be overhydrated, so it doesn't necessarily have to be completely clear, but pale yellow, you don't want it to be a really, really dark yellow as well. So hydration, as simple as it sounds, is the number one thing that I focus on. You do not want to be drinking your calories. You want to be drinking clean water throughout the day so that you're hydrating your cells and that your body can actually function on all of the levels that it needs to function on from a high performance perspective.
I like it. There's a lot there. I'm going to do a second episode on just water now that I'm listening to that, on the importance of quality. But so that was a piece from exercise, an item from nutrition, and now the last aspect of that is recovery. And for recovery, we're looking to the nap, because hockey and the nap are synonymous terms. I feel as if every single player you talk to has some sort of ritual or routine or opinion on the pregame nap. And if they don't take one, then there's a good chance that the rest of their team does take one. So we wanted to talk about the nap. The nap has gotten a bad rap in our Western society go culture. And I'm as guilty of this as anyone else. If we almost view not sleeping as a badge of honor now, as if in some way that's necessary to work hard. And so instead of functioning at 100%, you're functioning at 50% because you didn't sleep. But we can hack that with a nap. And we want to talk about it briefly. So there's significant evidence that at one point in our evolution, well, certainly at more than one point, but we were likely polyphasic sleepers, which meant that we slept in several smaller increments throughout the day, which makes sense if you think about something like a saber-toothed tiger trying to eat us. So we would need to cycle. Exhausting. We would need to cycle who was awake and who was asleep. So you would sleep, I would sleep, right, throughout the day, and that way we always had someone on guard. But then there's even more evidence showing that we've spent a large portion of our time as biphasic sleepers, and that's still prevalent in cultures like Spain, where they have an afternoon siesta, right? So you have a longer chunk during the day, so maybe a 6-hour sleep during the night, and then during the afternoon you lay down for another 90 minutes, and so you've made up your 7.5 hours in a 24-hour time frame, but you've done it in 2 portions. That is so frustrating when you're hungry at 2:30 in the afternoon in Spain because nothing is open.
Nothing's open.
Everything's closed across the board.
I was so confused.
Right? But that ability to sit down, lie down, shut off is really, really valuable if you look at production and performance throughout the rest of the day. And so it's something that we can take into our practice even here. So obviously we don't have a siesta in our work day. But
Google Pods. Maybe you do.
Maybe you do. But most people don't have a 90-minute siesta in their workday. But we can shut it down for 20 minutes and see some amazing benefits. So there's some discussion on different nap times. 90 minutes seems to be across the board uniform for everyone. If you can lie down for an hour and a half, that's perfect. That's one full sleep cycle. You've gone into deep restorative recovering sleep into your REM cycle. Wow, I'm struggling here. And then, but if you cannot get into that deep REM sleep, if you can't have a 90-minute cycle, then it might be better to go on the shorter side. So 20 minutes where you're getting like a quick power nap, a quick snapper, and then you're back up. We don't want to get into like sleep, almost like a sleep hangover where we've slept 45 minutes and we've just slipped into REM sleep and now we get up and now we're groggy. So we're trying to avoid that. So if you can't get down for a full 90, it's probably better to go just for 20, 25. And the research heavily supports naps, boosting alertness, boosting creativity, boosting athletic performance, all of those things.
Amazing.
So
the nap is back.
The nap is back. So those are our 3 train like a pro tips for you guys this week for Biosteel Breakdown. Single leg training, hydrate, and nap.
Amazing.
Fair?
Yeah.
Good? Like
Love
it? Awesome.
We're just going to tell all these people to just shut her down in the afternoon.
They're just going to be bouncing on one leg at their desk, drinking water.
Tell sleeping. Your boss that to be a champion, you have to go to a little napping.
As always, make sure you head over to biosteel.com. Check out all the amazing products they have to offer. Use the code word
Champ Lifestyle, capital C, capital L.
And you can receive 15% off. I think that's it. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it.
We would love your feedback on topics.
As always.
We always love hearing that.
Check back next Wednesday. We'll have a brand new podcast. And then the following Friday, we'll be back with a brand new Biosteel Breakdown, as always. So thanks, guys. Have a great week. See you next week.